Women hate the fact of being on their own. They can't stand it. Whereas a man can be on his own.
Welcome to my video. I'm really sorry it's taken so long to upload another video. We moved house, which is extremely stressful. You just start taking stuff out of wardrobes and it literally never ends, does it? And then you're just surrounded by the crap. Oh, anyway, I did say on the Facebook page I was going to upload a video chasing the cat round, trying to get her in the box. We've got a feral cat. I did actually go to McDonald's to try and upload that video. It would let me upload for a minute and then it shut me off. So they probably just don't let you do that. And then I didn't want to, once we did get broadband back, suddenly bring out a video of here's me getting my cat in the box randomly, and then and everyone's expecting something a bit better. So I will upload the cat video. I'll probably upload it maybe tomorrow or something after this. So bit of a risk this video, because as I said, I did want to make this video. My channel is predominantly anti-MLM. It's anti-scam. I mean, MLM's the biggest scam going at the moment, isn't it? It's entered another lockdown, and apparently Eric Worre, the guru of MLM, has brought out some kind of course this week. So expect your news feeds to be blown up with people trying to recruit you. I think kids YouTube. So this is a bit of a risk this week. I am going to be replying to a man called Mr. Truth Brown, and I think you'll understand why I felt compelled to make this video. Just take a look at this.
Now, the reason why men can be on their own is because we have a purpose. We have goals that keep us company. We have hobbies and activities that keep us occupied, where a lot of women don't. Men are very goal driven. Have you not noticed? A lot of men's focus is money. Women don't have that type of focus. Women tend to think more of their hearts than their heads, where men, we think more of our heads than our hearts. Women's thinking is very erratic and they're very confused. And this goes for the older women too, old women, yes, in their 40s, late 40s, 50s, they're fucking confused as well. I don't care what you tell me, they're all fucking confused, right? This is why women are seeking men, seeking relationships to help solve their problems in life, right? Because a woman doesn't know how to enjoy her own company. She doesn't have goals or tasks that she needs to fulfill in life. Most women's fulfillment is a man and a relationship, kids and marriage, right? Now, a woman feels very accomplished when she's married, right? Most women feel they're accomplished when they're married. Not even about career-wise or money-wise. A lot of them only feel accomplished when they've got a man and kids. Whereas you see men, their focus is money and goals. That's what my focus has been on. That's why I have not entered a relationship.
I watched this video a few times because to me it didn't sound like, and I'm talking to you, Mr. Truth, now, you're not approving of this. I mean, you say that you make these assertions about women. You say this is what women like, and I'm not going to be so ignorant as to say we're all different. I know that you don't mean every single woman in the world. I know that you're intelligent enough to understand that there's plenty of women that aren't like what you say. So you're talking majority. I get that. You're saying this is what a majority of women are like. But it's not quite true. And I'm going to tell you now, and I'm going to put all the links to these. Why women revel in the ritual of being single. A new study has blitzed the stereotype of the poor lonely spinster out of the water, revealing that women are actually happier being single than men are. In research by the market research firm Mintel, 61% of women say they are happy with their relationship status. 61% of single women, 61% of single women say they are happy with their relationship status. They're happy being single, compared to only 49% of men, of single men. And a further 75% of single women are not actively looking for a partner, compared to 65% of men. So that is statistics there. I mean, yeah, okay, you could probably find different statistics depending on, I mean, if we came to the area you have grown up in and the area you live in, and we asked all the women there who were single, we might find that there was 90% unhappy being single. But across the broad spectrum of men and women across the land, more women are happier being single than men. Now, they don't say on that study the age group of women, and the reason is that's quite important, because I am very much a person who I think that I think evolution and natural selection is more plausible than anything else. I am not a religious person, as I very much trust in the scientific method, and most of the things, when I think about humans, when I think about the reasons why we do things, take philosophy out of it. I look at the evolutionary reason and the biological reason. Now the assertions you make, women hate being on their own, men don't. These are the notes I made. Why? Well, it says, you men have a purpose, you say. Goals, and women don't. Women don't have the same goals as men. Not the same goals as you. Your goal, and you mentioned money. Now, we're talking about hundreds of thousands of years. Now, I'm not even talking about just Homo sapiens, which is what we are. I'm talking about Homo erectus, all the way back. I'm talking about back into when we were apes. We would have, you just have to look at the orangutans and the chimps. They want the alpha male. They want the strongest. You want the best provider. You want the most effective provider. Men know this. This is biologically evolved into men. The male of the species, of the great apes, of all monkeys probably, but the great apes especially, and humans. That's the way that you are going to be the most successful, find the most partners to breed with, the healthiest partners to breed with, the most desirable partners to breed with, because we know that you want the most desirable, don't you? You haven't made a video about that. You haven't made a video of why men, and as I say, I'm talking about all men. There's plenty of men who don't fall inside of this, but why a majority of men prefer young, beautiful women. You haven't made that video, because it's all related to each other. Your goals and your yearning to make money is directly related to your biological predisposition to want to be the best provider, to want to be the best at providing resources. Why do you want to be the best at providing resources? Why do you have your goals, and why do you want to make money? The reason that you want to make money is because in doing so, you will be able to attract more women. You will be able to attract the most desirable women, because that's what you want, isn't it? That consciously, but you probably don't realise on a conscious level that is what drives you. What drives you is multiplying yourself, multiplying your genes, is passing your genes on. And the best way you're going to do that is by finding the most youthful and the healthiest females. And the way you're going to do that is by being the best at providing resources, because the healthiest, youthful, most desirable females only want the best providers, only want the best at providing resources. And that's why you do the things you do. Now, let's look at what sort of hobbies. I mean, this is just off the top of my head. Let's look at golf. Where did golf come from? Golf literally came from sheep, shepherds, the crook, the shepherd's crook. It literally came from that. The game started. Shepherds whacking stones, and that would have been going on for, I mean, how long have we been in agricultural for? 10,000 years, is it? I'll put the correct one there. We would have been doing that. The lonely on hills to pass the time. Maybe two shepherds get together who can use their crook to hit the stone the furthest. That was a game they made up to pass the time, because that was their role. Cricket's another one. Cricket, if you the patch where the cricket is played is exactly the size of a field when we had strip farming, and it would have literally been farmers hitting stones with, I don't know, spades or whatever, and that's where that came from. It's directly related to jobs that you would have had. That men would have had to have done to survive. It's like the cats. The cats, they play with, well, they don't need to do this. They get fed food, but they play with balls. The instinct is still there to do the things that they need to do that were necessary for their survival once upon a time. And it's no different with humans. Every single goal you have is directed to you acquiring money and resources. All of the things that you probably enjoy doing, and I mean, I'm talking from gaming to sports to everything, would have at some point been related to a job you would have needed to do to survive and feed your family. So there's your goals laid down for you, and we all know why you've got them now. It's women. It's women. It's all about women. It always has been about women. It's always been about women. Apart from gay men. Gay men are the only ones that don't do things for women, but then they probably just do things for the most desirable man, other man. Women are emotional. The old women in their 40s and 50s, the decrepit ones, nearly dead in their 40s and 50s. We know that there are differences in brain wiring in men and women. There are differences. We know that the women probably are scattier, if you like, thinkers, and the reason for that is very necessary. I mean, remember, we were primitive tribal peoples for 100,000 years and beyond, but a woman would have been with children, would have been with old people, would have had to have gathered. Women would have had to have been aware of many different things going on in one time, and it's logical to see that in terms of evolution, it is more optimal for the survival of young if women can, and that's why I guess they say women can multitask more effectively, must be able to do all these things in one go, must have an eye here, an eye here, an eye here. That's not necessary for men. And what's more necessary for men who are going to be going out and hunting is to be able to focus really well on one thing and be able to shut out everything. And I mean, again, anybody who has ever lived with a man knows that you can be saying their name 100 times and they don't hear you because they're concentrating so much on something. And I've noticed that with my husband. He can shut out all distractions and I can't. If I something here or here or here, I'm looking. So I do think that I can see how, in terms of evolution, that would be necessary. But does that make women scatty and erratic thinkers? I'm not sure. I mean, of course, I haven't met a whole bunch of women like you described. I've met a few, but then I've met some crazy men as well. So I don't know what your experience is. Have you really met all these women that are crazy? Have you? Really? I mean, I haven't, and I don't think most people have. So have you considered that they may be crazy towards you and that you're the common denominator, that you maybe bring that side out in them, Mr. Truth? Maybe you do. Have you considered that? I mean, think logically, if women were all crazy and nutty and erratic, would we be able to get children into adulthood without accidentally killing them? Probably not. So yeah, maybe that's one to look at yourself. Look at yourself. Women seeking men don't enjoy their own company. Now, historically, and I'm talking about since we became civilized, but also beyond that. Now, historically, up until very recent history, up until what, 100 years, even within 100 years, and we're still talking about countries in the world now Women are property. Women have been property since perhaps even the beginning of time. I'm sure women have been passed between tribes as leverage. We know that when tribes take over another tribe, or when wars happen, the women are raped, and that is all harks back to taking over by them having the babies of these people, and genetically invading, if anything. We know that women have historically been completely reliant on men for everything that they need. They haven't had a choice. We haven't been able to be independent. We haven't been allowed to be until recent years. And I'm not going to go into talking about votes, because I know that there was working class men weren't allowed to vote in one time as well. It was the privileged and the elites that had all the choices in the world. But I'm going to talk about women only now. Women are still enslaved in parts of the world, and I will call it enslaved, because you are enslaved. If you cannot earn your own money, if you cannot get jobs, if you are reliant on a man, if you are considered a man's property, you are a slave. If your purpose in life is to be pregnant and cook and clean and do everything for that man, you are his slave. And women have been slaves for most of history, to be honest. Most of the history that we know. Looking at women taking the man's surname, that was all about ownership, that she had her father's surname, she was his property, he could decide who she married, and then goes on to the husband. He's now her property, and she can't own her own land, she can't inherit anything, she can't get a job. She's completely right. And if he wants to abuse her, he can do it, rape the life out of her, a miserable existence, she can't do anything about it. So yeah, women did need a man, and I think women probably did seek out decent men for a long time, and perhaps, particularly in younger women, perhaps that instinct is still there, because we know that we need a man to have children with. And this is, I think, where we come into the modern day, because women don't need men anymore. We can get our own jobs. And even when women can't get a job and they fall pregnant and they haven't got a job, now obviously it's down to 2 children, there is substantial help, probably not enough help from the state. Single mums don't have an easy ride, they don't. But there should be, they will be, they by law have to be housed and have to be, given sufficient funds to look after themselves and the child. That may not be enough, probably not. But anyway, now women actually do not need a man to provide for them. We don't need a man. The instinct is probably still there, though. A majority of women do want to have children. They do. And again, it's built in, it's instinct, isn't it? It's evolution has driven. And by the way, in a lot of educated countries now in the world, and I'm talking about Germany, Ireland, the United Kingdom, the indigenous, not even indigenous, are the British people who were born here, no matter what ethnicity you are. If you're born in this country, if you're raised in this country, you're British. I don't care what colour you are, you're British. And people born in this country are not having, and in several other countries, Japan is included, are not having enough children to replace the people who are dying. We have a negative birth rate. Forget about the world being overpopulated. The world that is overpopulated is the very poor parts of the world where women aren't educated and they don't get a choice. They keep having babies. Africa, India, they keep having babies. I've had 2 pregnancies and I don't want any more. It's not enjoyable, Mr. Truth. And everyone knows that. Some women love it. I don't think most do. I don't think most women love it. And that's why we don't want to keep having babies. We just don't. We might want 1. We might even want 2. Some may even want 3, but not many women want a tribe of kids anymore, because it's just not. It's not an enjoyable experience being pregnant or any of the rest of it, especially if you don't have a lot of support. So where women do, and that's evolutionarily built into us. It's that's our drive. But would you rather, the way you talk, Mr. Truthman, and this is why I watched your video a few times, as funny as this is going to be to say for people who saw your video and were outraged, I feel like there's a feminist in you somewhere because the way you talk about the way a majority of women are, you're not approving of it, are you? You don't think that that's right. You would prefer it if women were more like men and had goals and wanted to do all the things, same as you, had goals, had things in their life. You prefer that. And that's what, feminism's about. Let's get women away from this kind of, you've got to get married and have kids and stay at home. And of course, if you want to do that, that's fine. But let's encourage women to do more. Let's encourage women to have goals. Let's encourage women to have focuses, like make money, have businesses. That's what you'd like as well, isn't it, Mr. Truth? So for all your you are, really, if that's how you feel, you're a feminist, aren't you? You're a feminist in your heart. Because the people who, if you weren't a feminist, you'd be very happy. You'd be saying, get in the home, have babies. I'll provide. We can provide. Us men can provide. We don't need you to go to work and undermine our place in the household. Because of course, if you can be independent and have your own money, you may not want to divorce us. And we know that more women apply for divorce than men as well. Because again, back in yesteryear, women couldn't divorce, couldn't afford to, and still it's difficult for some women nowadays, particularly if they've put their career on hold for kids, to divorce, because they aren't as well off afterwards. So you are a feminist, aren't you, Mr. Truth? This is what you want. You want women to be more like men. It will take a lot. And I say this to I am a feminist in my heart. I want empowerment for women. I wouldn't even say feminist. I will stand up for anyone who I believe is in a vulnerable position. And part of that is, for me, I want women to feel empowered. That's why I'm against MLMs, because I think that MLMs tell women, without in so many words, like, oh, you can't, you haven't got an education, you couldn't do that. Join our pyramid scheme, and you don't have to worry about putting the work in. You don't have to worry about realising what you might really be capable of. Get in our pyramid scheme. Let us humiliate you to the point where you can hardly breathe with shame. So you never really then feel confident enough to go out there. I'm against all that. I want women to go out there. I want women to be educated. I want women to find their passion. That's what I want. However, Mr. Truth, you cannot fight biology. Yes, women do want to have children. In general, most do want to have children. Yes, the drive is still there to seek out the best provider. It is still there. It is, and we cannot deny it as women, that we know that we are attracted to a man who is successful. And the most successful men will always, the richest men will always attract more women, because it's all biological. It's nothing to do with gold digging and all the rest of it. It's biologically driven in. It's biologically by a process of natural selection, because the women throughout history that made sure they find themselves the best provider ended up having more children. Those children ended up more likely to survive till adulthood. And then if those children inherited that same drive to want a best provider, and they did, and that's why it's in us, and that's why it's in you to want to be the best provider, because via a process of natural selection, the men who had the drive to be the best provider were able to get the most youthful, healthy women, who were able to have more children for you, and the genes prevailed. And that's all it's down to. But we, I think, are on the same page, Mr. Truth Brown. We want women to be empowered, don't we? And I would love to see you make a video, explaining that more, that you want women to be empowered, that you aren't approving of that, but you must accept that that is the biological predisposition. And I think you go on to just a quick one. You go on to say about...
See, and this is why a lot of women will run out and go buy pets. Now, a friend of mine told me, and I asked her, I said, why'd you buy a cat? She goes, because she felt lonely. I was like, really? And that proved my theory right. And it just tells me women don't like being on their own. So they'll go buy a damn pet. Man, they're that desperate, they'll go buy a damn parrot.
Again, that is down to the biological need to nurture. We most women, not all women, a lot of women, they're not interested in babies, they're not interested in any of that, and are not really maternal. But, you know, that there is a need in women. There is a desire to nurture, to want to care for. And, you know, if you can imagine when we were in tribes, there would have been children everywhere. There would have been grandchildren, there would have been nieces to care for. And if you had that compulsion to want to nurture, your next of kin would be more likely to survive till adulthood. And actually, I did read an article, and I'll try and fish it out, where they were saying, like, why do women live past menopause? What possible reason? What's the point? You know, you can't have babies anymore. You can't breed. What's the point in living past menopause? And they theorized that it was because women who lived past menopause were then able to help their own daughters raise their children, which would enable their daughters to have more children and those children to be healthier and reach adulthood, passing on the genes to survive past menopause to all the offspring. So that's why I think, you know, your friend who maybe in her, you know, we would have been having children at 16, 17 in tribe. Your friend, I don't know how old she is, if she's in her 20s and she's got no children, she will have that desire to want to love and care for something. And if she's sensible and she's like you want her to be, and she's, you know, focusing on education, she's focusing on her career, that drive may still be there, and she can pour that love into a cat, or as you say, a parrot. Anything that is in need of her care, she can pour that into that without, you know, going out and getting herself pregnant and ruining her chances of succeeding professionally or educationally. And it's why I think you get a lot of these women who are sort of past menopause and they haven't got grandchildren yet, and they go out and get dogs and cats and whatever and surround themselves with animals. Again, that is their sort of predisposition to want to nurture, and they're pouring it into a vulnerable creature, and it fulfills that for them. So I hope I've answered your questions there, and I hope I've been fair, because, you know, you've based it on your experiences, obviously, with the women that you're surrounded with and the women that you know. And I feel like I've perhaps brought some clarity, perhaps. I mean, a lot of that was my opinion. Perhaps on why that is, and why that's maybe not such a bad thing for humans. As I say, we've got a negative birth rate now, so we're not all trying to have babies anymore, are we? So I will now. I have got 2 more IntelliTravel videos in the pipeline as well. But I will now be focusing on the body shop, because it's everywhere now, isn't it? Pissing everyone off with their silliness. So that's what I'm going to be researching now. I have got, as I said, there are other companies in the pipeline. I am trying to work on a Juice Plus. If there are any current Juice Plus reps, completely anonymous, any current Juice Plus reps, I could do with talking to some of you, because there are some stuff in your kind of your account hub that only current reps can see. So if any of you are thinking of leaving or happy to share information with me, do get in touch. Again, it's all anonymous. I don't reveal anybody's names unless they specifically ask me to. So look forward to that. Look forward to my next video. Hopefully it won't be too long coming.